champions of Sporting Kansas City, Seth Sinovic. Seth, welcome to Red Card again, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back.
A pleasure to have you on, Seth. Let's talk about a big game coming up on the weekend against TFC. Obviously, the last time you played TFC, you won that game on their home turf and a man down to boot. And I got to tell you, it was an exciting match, actually, when Matt Beasler got sent off, and it looked like both squads were going for it. And what a game that was. What are you expecting this weekend from TFC?
Yeah, hopefully from our side it's going to be a similar result. Obviously, we got the win in that game. I thought Toronto played really well last game and, really pushed us. And I think we got a few good bounces, and we're fortunate to come out there with a win. And like I said, hopefully it'll be another exciting game, and hopefully the result will go in Sporting's way.
Seth, you've been in MLS a number of years. It's got to be actually quite nice as a team and as the champions to come into Toronto finally to have a team that you can play against, that you know it's going to be a physical, competitive matchup with world-class players like Bradley and Defoe.
Yeah, they're definitely a strong team. Obviously, the front office and the organization there has spent a lot of money to bring in some very talented players. So, I think they've always had pretty good turnouts there as far as fans go, but with the talent that they have now and the success they're having this year, it's something to get excited about, and it's always fun and exciting matching up against teams that have that talent and are going to be competitive in the league.
Seth, you play in a special market, a special city. To me, watching from afar and seeing the support you get, seeing the way the fans really embrace your club and champions from last year, it's got to be special. I mean, I look at your club and I equate them almost to the Green Bay Packers of the NFL, where it's a community club. Everyone loves this team. You see all sorts of jerseys from KC players all over North America now, whether it's Zusi, Beasler, yourself, other players. This has got to be great.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I grew up in Kansas City, so I'm familiar with what the organization started out as and what it's grown to. So it's definitely exciting to be a part of. And obviously our owners and organization, they've put a lot into the team. They've invested a lot and tried to make the fan experience as good as possible. And I think they've done a really good job. On top of that, we've had a lot of success on the field. So, putting that all together is, always a good formula for a successful team, successful organization, and hopefully we can continue to grow from here.
Seth, it's got to be great when the ownership opens up the wallet and keeps two U.S. international players at home with Sporting Kansas City, Graham Zusi, Matt Beasler, both of them with Kansas City for the next few years at least. This has got to be great that ownership can do this for your squad and say to the fans, we want to put a first-rate product out there. How great is that?
Oh, that's incredible. Obviously we wanted to keep those guys, Graham Zusi and Matt Beasler, both very talented players, huge to the core of our team. And for our owners to step up and do that, it's definitely not something that's been done very much in this league as far as American designated players go. Omar Gonzalez was another big one for the Galaxy, but that just doesn't happen very often in our league. And for our owners to really step up and keep the quality players like them here on our team and within the league is not only big for Sporting, but I think it's big for the league as far as going forward and growing into the type of league we want to be.
And I couldn't agree with you more, Seth. I'll never forget saying this when the draw took place for Brazil and the World Cup that just concluded with Germany as winners. And I called it the group of death that the USA was in. And I called them to come out of that group with Germany. And I said this, and I'll stick to this. I'd like to get your opinion. I truly believe in the next two World Cups, the USA can get to a Final Four. And who knows, possibly get to a final. I believe players like Matt Beasler, Zusi, Clint Dempsey, Altidore, I could go on and on, have finally awakened the rest of the world to start taking the American player seriously. Not just as a bench player, but as a starter on real good clubs overseas. Your thoughts, Seth?
Yeah, it's obviously it's difficult to predict stuff like that in the next couple World Cups, but obviously we have very talented players. It's just interesting watching this World Cup and the mentality of the United States team going into a few of those games. Unfortunately, the games we struggled, I thought, were against Germany and against Belgium, and those were games where we were in the game for the majority of the time, and I think it was one of those things where we were expected to be the underdog in that game, to be the less talented team, and not as good team, if you will. But look at games against Portugal, who has tons of talent, obviously Cristiano Ronaldo among others. We go down a goal, and we were forced to be put on the front foot and kind of push the game a little bit. You can see what we could do in that situation when we were pushing the game. From a possession standpoint, a lot of different things. I think the talent is there. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. Every country's trying to improve, but I think the mentality is what needs to improve over the next few years as far as going into the next couple World Cups.
Seth, you've played in the American youth system, and here in Canada, I've played in it. I've got two sons that are currently playing in it. And what I see in all my travels and in playing the game and in coaching in the game is that, especially in the North American player, they're physically tip-top shape. Mentally, they understand the game. But when it comes to that creativeness, when it comes to that killer instinct in the box, or that that offensive mentality, it seems like they're still lacking that. Whether it is in Canada, in the USA, but I still think that's the missing link. How do we get over that hump in the USA and in Canada?
I think it just takes a little bit of time, unfortunately. Growing up, the club system is light years different than what it was when I was playing. It was one of those things where I was on one of the top club teams in my state, and we practiced 2 or 3 times a week, and that's just not enough. You get players over in Spain and Germany. It's their life. They're practicing every single day. They're trying to progress their skills every day, and going to school on top of that. But there's so many other things that go on in America, like football or basketball. There's so many other sports that kind of take those things away, or take players away from growing as far as soccer players go. And I think that's changed quite a bit over the last 5-10 years with the academy systems that are coming about from all these different MLS teams. So it's a little bit of a progress, but I think we're on the right track to developing those players at a younger age.
Seth, you played at Creighton University. You were a captain there. And now at this time of year, a lot of young men are making their ways to colleges and universities in the NCAA. And for my money, the NCAA has been a fantastic feeder system for MLS and providing players for Team USA in that World Cup, and for Canada in many ways has helped out quite a bit. What advice do you want to give to these youngsters that first and foremost their mind should be on the books and studying, but also possibly having a dream and playing in MLS or in Europe like you're doing?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I would always put academics first, because you never know what could happen. There's tons of different situations, whether it's injuries or whatnot, that can happen. So you always want to prepare yourself as far as academics go, and be prepared to have a future outside of soccer. But as far as soccer goes, it's that repetition and being driven to work hard and do whatever it takes to make it to that next level. There's a lot of talented players that have the opportunity to play college soccer, have the opportunity to play in the MLS, but don't have that drive, don't have that motivation, don't have that work ethic to take it to the next level. So I think more than anything, that will take you over the top and hopefully having a good career.
Seth, we've had on many coaches in the past from Europe on our show, and they've talked about how now in America, a lot of the academies want to set up in the US of A. And you mentioned that, academies and clubs. Do you feel that there has to be room for both, whether it's academies and clubs in the USA, and that it should be for the betterment of the game?
It's tough to say. The academies seem to be taking over to a certain degree, and I think it's good. But at the same time, clubs are good as well, because not every player wants to. I mean, everybody strives to be a professional, but not everybody's going to be on that level. So I think there needs to be that competition to compete with the academy a little bit as well. So it's tough to say. It's obviously in its very early stages. And I'm sure things will kind of develop and grow from where it's at right now, and they'll make little changes here and there. But for now, I would say a little bit of the academy and a little bit of the club would probably be what I would like to see.
Seth, I talk to a lot of guys on a daily basis back in my old country of Italy, a lot of colleagues, a lot of former players, and they tell me how happy they are for the US of A and North America in general, the way this league has exploded, and that many players want to come here. How great is that as a player now, playing for Sporting Kansas City Champ, and seeing a new expansion, Orlando City, another one in New York, Atlanta, and then you think about the Pacific Northwest, Seth, where it's lights out fantastic when you go to Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. How great is this now, the way the league has grown in leaps and bounds?
Oh, it's incredible. It's great. It's really exciting to see, especially being a part of it at the same time. Like I said, growing up in Kansas City, we had the Wizards, and back in the early stages of the MLS, you didn't see this excitement over soccer, and obviously I get to see firsthand of what a very successful city is as far as MLS goes with Kansas City and the success we've had over the last few years, not only on the field but off the field with attendance and jersey sales and all that stuff. So it's extremely exciting to see, and hopefully the teams that are very successful as of late, whether it be Kansas City or teams in the Northwest, like you're talking about with Seattle and Portland, or even Toronto FC. Hopefully, the teams that are struggling with attendance, that motivates them to really up their game a little bit and grow as organizations as well, because I think that will only better the league.
Seth, as we close it up, we really appreciate your time, but we like to ask all the players that come on our show to give a tip or two, some advice to the youngsters out there that are playing the game that they love so much. What would you like to say to them, especially to the ones, Seth, that maybe are on the bench and don't have the confidence of the coach, maybe are struggling, maybe they'd have that dream but aren't getting the playing time and aren't getting the responsibilities that they really would like to have. What do you want to say to them, Seth?
I'd say especially to the younger guys, just remember that it's a game and it's supposed to be fun. There's so many kids that put a lot of pressure on themselves, and coaches put pressure on kids. Sometimes parents put pressure on kids to be successful, and sometimes the fact that it's a game gets lost in that little shuffle. So I would say more than anything, have fun and work hard, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Seth, you're a class act. We wish you nothing but success the rest of the season defending your